who says, I would not like to see Ergo as just a privacy coin and the label privacy coin. The label privacy coin is still considered bad. I don't know about that, but I understand where Stefan is coming from. You can call it privacy feature. I would love to see more people using Ergo. So my question, I guess, to you guys is, I mean, how do you see Ergo evolving? Do you see it evolving into a privacy coin, or do you see it evolving into a blockchain with privacy features that are only a part of the toolbox? Is it going to be a main focus, or is it going to be one of our focuses? How do you see this unfolding? Joe, let's start with Joe.
Okay. I would say in order to be a full privacy coin, you do have to have privacy features enforced by the protocol. I would start there. So is Ergo a privacy coin? No. Does Ergo have the ability to use cryptography on an application level? Yeah, and I think Alex actually is making a video about that for the Privacy and Security Summit. Now, it ultimately breaks down to user choice, right? It makes little sense, in my opinion, to not have that feature and functionality, because that is an important part of decentralization. If you look at how, let's say I lived in a area that had a government that was relatively oppressive or did not allow me to legally use this technology, right? I think that having tools to decentralize that power away from the government is a valuable thing. Now, part of what the Ergo mixer does is it breaks the linkability between the user and their address, and if they were ever able to create that link between the user and the address, it actually creates a real world liability for someone that's in an oppressive situation. So I think giving them the ability to protect themselves is a positive thing. Now, it is true that some people will say, okay, well, fungibility, is bad in crypto. Why? I go to a hotel and I have a $10 bill. I go to the desk and I say, hey, I want ones because I want to use your vending machine. Is that illegal? No. Technically, I just mixed money. If I go and I buy a gift card for my nephew for his birthday, technically that's anonymous to some degree, right? Is that negative? No, that's something that we see as normal. I do think that people that oppose blockchain have created this like dark and evil, perception that, it's for criminals and, the riffraff of society. Yeah, I think that's propaganda for the most part. It doesn't break down in reality, and the facts of looking at how fiat is used versus crypto don't support that narrative.
Yeah. What about yourself, Alex? What do you think about that?
All right. So yeah, privacy is not mandatory in Ergo. So you can think that this is just a better version of Bitcoin in regards with privacy, right? Yeah, it's optional, but yeah, Ergo Mixer, for example, is much superior in comparison with Bitcoin Mixer. So there is an attempt to build something like Ergo Mixer for Bitcoin. It's called the Sneaker protocol. But yeah, still it's on the paper and will be on the paper maybe. Yeah, in opposite, real implementation of Ergo is working since 2020. Yeah, because it's simpler protocol, yeah, even simpler than Sneaker, and yeah, it's requiring for on-chain interaction only, so no any trusted service, because yeah, trusted service can be a problem. So there are many problems with trusted mixing service in Bitcoin and so on. Yeah, there is also support for stealth addresses, which is superior to Bitcoin. So no any scheme proposed for Bitcoin and Ethereum and so on. So yeah, there will be a hardcore talk to be released during the Ergo Summit. I made. So yeah, there I will compare in details. Ergo possibilities with Bitcoin and Ethereum. But yeah, so it's not a privacy coin, unlike Monero or Zcash. But for Zcash, I don't know about now, but yeah, like 2 years ago, so 98% of addresses were transparent addresses, so T addresses, not Z addresses, shielded address. So then, yeah, it's then also not a privacy coin, really, right? Well, unlike Monero, for example, where or Pirate Chain, where privacy is strictly enforced by the protocol. So yeah, it's kind of complicated talk. And in regards with future, I think it will depend on the demand, right? So if there will be a demand for greater privacy, then corresponding tools will appear definitely. So it's just market question, right? These days, unfortunately, not so. There is low demand for privacy tools, but yeah, the situation could be changed dramatically, I guess, depending on regulators' attempts around the globe. So let's see.
Yeah, it's one of those things you don't need privacy until you do.
Yeah, I also think that it is, well, like you were saying, Joe, right? So we do it with cash. Why can't we do it with crypto? Well, I mean, that's also because we're really, really early. You have to understand that we're really, really early in the mass adoption. I mean, for example, you have this Canadian thing right now that everybody's talking about. I mean, that they're talking about that they seized a crypto wallet. I mean, they seized a crypto. How do you seize a crypto wallet? It just somebody saying that, a mainstream anybody saying that they seized a crypto wallet, it's sort of like saying that somebody caught a ghost that is not the Ghostbusters. It's a lack of fundamental understanding of how crypto wallet works if you say that you've seized one.
Yeah.
It's not a bank account. You don't seize it. It doesn't live there. It lives on the blockchain. It doesn't live in a little ledger thing. So you have to understand that if the mainstream, and this is what we're talking about, take it for better or for worse, okay? But the mainstream is really where you want to be if you're going to have mass adoption. I mean, you need to have mainstream adoption, okay? And there's going to be great feats, and there's going to be complete stupidity. And you have to understand that right now we're dealing with a lot of stupidity from the mainstream because they're afraid of the change. And they are still using these legacy, old-timey, old-world terminology because they just can't fathom the concept. That's why you have these idiots coming on, this government officials coming on TV and talking about seizing crypto wallets. Yeah. So with that in mind, you have to understand that, somebody will look at a coin or will look at a blockchain and say, oh, privacy coin bad. Why? They can't explain. Because you can't, they think that there is no, there is no accountability, right? There is no accountability if these funds are used or if this technology is used for, for nefarious activities, right? But for some reason, fiat and cash gets a pass. And we all know that reason is because fiat and cash has been around for a much, much longer time, and a lot more people have used it. And before that, it was seashells. We are a long way away from seashells now. So how long is it going to take for us to get away from that understanding that even though it lives on the blockchain, it's not like a credit card or even like your bank account? Who knows? So that's why right now you're going to get into a lot of this talk where, privacy bad, privacy coin's bad. And Ergo is not a privacy coin, obviously, but privacy, we can track it. We can't, how do you track bad actors? Like, okay, how do you track somebody with a suitcase of cash? How do you track it? Somebody has a suitcase of cash. They bought a bunch of drugs with it. How do you track it? You just have to be patient and understand that this is the world we live in. And like I said, we're really early, even though we feel like we have a $2 trillion market cap for crypto. We have all this technology. It's really disruptive. There's a lot more mainstream talking about it. But really, if you think about it, how long, say, for example, did it take the internet to really go mainstream? I mean, really. The internet has been around since the 60s. I was on Usenet back in the late 80s. I was in 89. I was using dial-up, 2400 baud modems, dial-up, Hayes external, to dial up BBSs and to get into Usenet. Okay. The first domain was registered in, I think, was something like 1986. What is it? Symbolics.com, I think it was something like that. And here we are in 2024. And only in the past 15 years, have people have really, you could say that the majority of the world population has access to the internet. Majority. I'm not even talking about a vast majority. I'm just talking about majority. Okay, like for example, right now in Afghanistan, which is, it's a conflict region, you have something like 3 out of 10 people that have access to the internet. In Africa, you have, in the poor countries of Africa, have about the same, right? And this is, and we're talking about 20 years since it really did go mainstream, and about 40 years or 45 years since it's been around literally for the average user, for you and me to be able to use it. We're 10 years into adoption of crypto right now. Is it going to take another 30 years for it to really be mainstream like the internet is right now? Maybe, maybe not. Some components, yes. Some components, no. But again, the main thing to remember right now is don't get frustrated because you're really, really early. And just, find a way, kind of a path forward. Don't get frustrated. Keep building or keep biddling. That's the end of my spiel.
In the spiel. I liked it. It's a good one.
Well, I hope so. Oh, wait a second. So no, everybody's asleep. Crap.